Today we're taking this 2024 Ford Mustang EcoBoost to Chicago. It's Lollapalooza weekend and my cousin Anne-Marie is a vendor at the festival once again. So Emily and I are completing our tradition and heading from our little town in Michigan to Chicago. It's 250 miles out, 500-mile round trip. Of course, we're only doing the first leg today and then the second leg a few days from now. But I figured we would take you all along with us, as is tradition as well. And I have been wanting to road trip a Mustang for a little while because I feel like the Mustang is supposed to be the ideal American Grand Tourer. It's been going now for 60 years now, I think, or 1964, and it's 2024, so it's 60 years, right? Okay, my math was correct there. So this is now the S650 generation, new for the 24 model year. Some 25s are gracing the market now, but this is still a 24, finished in yellow splash, and this was actually supposed to be a GT, but when it showed up, it was clearly not a GT, but that's okay, because I was not looking forward to changing my own gears in Chicago traffic and, you know, getting 20 mpg on the way there. So under the hood of this EcoBoost Mustang is a 2.3 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, makes 315 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque. Every new S650 EcoBoost has a 10-speed automatic, and of course it is rear-wheel drive, but they do all come with a 315 gear limited slip diff. So some performance, but then at the same time not, because as this car is equipped, it doesn't even have paddle shifters, which is a bit strange. So this is an EcoBoost Premium. It has the Nite Pony package, which gets you the black roof and the black wheels, but it doesn't have the Performance Pack, which is what you have to have. It's like a $3,500 option to get yourself paddle shifters, Brembo brakes, all of the stuff. So they killed the manual and they kind of neutered the base model car as well, which is a bit strange. I mean, it's a Mustang, it should still have a little bit of sporting pedigree. So in a way, this spec with its comfort leather seats and B&O sound system and everything is, for lack of a better term, kind of like a boomer spec. We are Meemaw and Peepaw today in this. We should just abandon Chicago and go to the Woodward Dream Cruise. Yeah, that might be good. Okay, well, anyways, let's go ahead and try and make this walk around brief, because at the end of the day, it is just a Mustang. I feel like you all probably know this car pretty well by now, but let's take a look at some road trip essentials. We have a button to open our trunk right below the pony on the bumper. This bit is no longer black, or at least on the EcoBoost Premium. Black pony as well for our Nite Pony package. They like to use the word pony.
They do.
Yeah. So in the back, we have, honestly, a pretty decent trunk opening, and I think they shape it like this so Meemaw and Peepaw can fit their golf clubs.
It's very reminiscent of like the trunk of a Corvette.
Oh, the trunk, yeah, the back bit of the Corvette, of the C8. Yeah, you're correct with that. But anyways, jokes aside, we have two suitcases back here. I mean, they're carry-on size. You could fit these in the overhead compartment on a Delta plane, but they do fit comfortably here in the trunk. I think you could fit a third one. I've got my backpack here. I've got a pillow. We have some miscellaneous items. I always love driving places because I don't have to fit everything in the bag. I can just throw stuff in the trunk. But the Mustang accommodates just fine for two people. And of course, you do have the back seat room as well if you need just that much extra storage, which we are actually using today. But before we do that, I want to show you guys this Easter egg on the back window. Every generation of Mustang lined up here on the back glass. So that's pretty neat. I like the little, I like the little Easter eggs that they put on these cars. Got this little switch on the back of the seat, or pull handle rather, to give you easy access to the back seat, where we are storing a bag of things in a Whole Foods bag and a pillow. And you've got a little bit of room on the floor here to stick a couple of things. Got my time-lapse GoPro down here and stuff. But overall, I mean, pretty decent storage solutions as far as taking things with you, large things. Let's pop the hood and show you this 2.3 liter turbo 4-cylinder, up a couple horsepower from the S550 EcoBoost. Still mostly the same 2.3 liter. They actually made the turbo smaller for the 24 model year, but overall pretty much the same engine, similar engine to what you would find in the Focus RS and whatever else Ford puts a 2.3. I think they put it in the Ranger also. So kind of a multi-platform use here. No engine cover, and obviously a ton of room in this engine bay because they have to be able to fit the 5-liter V8 motor. So this is just the little 4-cylinder baby, the base model Mustang. One last thing I want to touch, actually two things I want to touch on. I thought when I first shut the hood on this, I didn't close it all the way because of how shocking the front bumper fitment is on this. I mean, look at the panel gap here. I can fit my entire finger in this panel gap. So this is a very early build, and it may even be pre-pro. I actually don't think it's pre-production. It has a real VIN. I think it's just 00161, so it's a very, very early Mustang off the line. So we'll give it a bit of grace for having some questionable build quality. But the other thing I wanted to touch on is that the Mustang EcoBoost starts at 31 grand, but this one here that we have today in front of us is $46,000 because it's a premium. So that bumps it up to 37 starting. The Nite Pony Pack is like 1,500 bucks. The EcoBoost equipment group is 3 grand. That gives you the B&O, the leather seats, and all the stuff.
But no paddle shifters.
Nope, yeah. Well, we have an active... Oh, thank you for reminding me. That is another reason why this is such a weird spec. We don't have the Sport Pack, but we do have the optional active exhaust.
Yes.
So you've got an interior with no sport mode, with no sport transmission mode, no paddle shifters, but you can put the exhaust in track mode, and it's just
wake up the entire neighborhood.
That's right. As the 10-speed goes through many gears. Anyways, though, all of the options, I will put them in the description. You guys can see the actual build on this car, but just know that it is $46,000. So, okay, that's enough of a walk around, I think. Let's go ahead and jump in. I think outward appearance-wise, I mean, it's a pretty attractive-looking car. A lot of people hated on the S650 when it came out, said it looked like a Camaro.
Oh.
So, I don't know. EcoBoost Premium with the equipment group gets you these nice leather seats. They are perforated. I believe they're cooled, or they're ventilated. You wouldn't know because it's all in the infotainment.
Right.
My apologies, I've literally had this car for 12 hours, so I am still learning it a bit, but overall interior materials feel pretty decent under first impressions. Even though the steering wheel is lacking paddle shifters, it is still a really nice shape, feels nice in the hands, and it's a nice leather material as well. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up. Got my Fox body gauge cluster selected there, the obvious choice. You can hear this exhaust.
And that's in quiet, I think.
No, this is in normal mode. Yeah, you can toggle that by hitting the Mustang button. We're in normal. This is track. Doesn't change anything when you're idling because that valve is open currently. I mean, it's not the worst noise in the world, but it isn't super inspiring. I like quiet mode the best. It's probably what we're going to be sitting in for the majority of today's trip because I am not interested in droning about on the highway. Infotainment works like any Ford system does. They've upgraded it a bit for this. Okay. Everything lags slightly. This new, I think, Phoenix system is what they're calling this. It does work a bit better than the old Sync system. As you can see, PRNDL, we don't even have a sport mode for the transmission. We don't have the cool drift brake that you get on the GT and the Dark Horse, just this little electronic switch. So this is a cruiser Mustang, and I suppose for today's cruise to Chicago, it won't be too bad. But I just think the overall image of the Mustang, like every model should have a sport mode and paddle shifters. I mean, you get in a Honda Civic and it has sport mode and paddle shifters. Like
I have sport mode and paddle shifters.
Yeah, you get in a Mazda CX-30 and it's got sport and paddle shifters. So, I mean, obviously you have a sport drive mode, which is right here. But, yeah, okay.
Sport exhaust.
I've got my custom modes set to auto stop start off and exhaust and quiet mode. Okay. Reverse camera, pretty high def. We don't have a 360 camera in this thing, but you got lines that move with you and everything. Really solid feeling automatic gear shift carried over from the S550. I never minded this. Looks nice in the cabin as well. We're leaving, what time is it? 11:23. We told ourselves this morning we were going to be leaving at 10. So we missed it just by a little bit. But ideally we don't sit in Chicago rush hour traffic. But I won't be too upset because we're in an automatic. This is one of the quickest 315 horsepower cars I've driven. It does feel a bit underrated. We probably won't test it out a ton today. If you guys want to see that, you can go over to the TheTopher channel. He has a full comprehensive review on this EcoBoost Mustang.
What is happening up here?
Oh my goodness. Oh, they're waving. Oh,
hi.
they like the car.
Oh, there was an actual fire. There's fire trucks over there.
Oh, there's a fire truck. Okay,
There's
so
multiple fire trucks.
office building on fire, but the employees like the Mustang.
Yes.
So that's, bringing a bit of joy
It is.
to the neighborhood here. Got some new Kias getting unloaded. Try not to take the door off of this Sportage. Hello, sir. As we normally do, we're gonna stick some petrol in the Mustang. We've got just under 3/4 of a tank, but I want to get our trip reset so we can track our fuel economy. EPA rates this thing at 33 mpg on the highway, so I'm hoping we're able to do that today.
EcoBoost. The turn signal sounds like a Mustang.
A galloping
A
pony. I think that's on
That's on
purpose. Yeah,
purpose,
I would
yeah.
say that it's probably on purpose. Parking brake set. Looks like over the last 76 miles, the TheTopher and I have done 21.8 mpg, so a little bit of spirited driving there, but let's go ahead and top this thing off, and then we will jump on the highway and start the trip. Now, I know I'm going to get yelled at for a couple things. For one, 87 plus, which means this will take 87, and since we're just going to be floating down the highway, I'm going to stick a few gallons of 87, especially since that's probably what this already has a full tank of anyways. Excuse Maria Menounos as she talks over me. Also, you're going to yell at me for how I do this, but I'm not interested in touching anything extra at the gas station. It's a pretty deep yellow color, especially when you're in the shade. I like a good proper yellow like this. Oh, there's a Prius for sale over there. Should tell Charlie. Just about 5 gallons going in there. There's an S550 EcoBoost. What do you think of that new startup chime?
It's better than I'm a Ford.
3 hours and 48.
That's not bad, actually.
That is not bad.
Wow.
Cool. I'm going to stick my phone on the wireless charger here in front of the shifter.
Okay.
And actually, before we get going, I am going to reset our trip. Cool. All right.
There we go.
Off we go. We'll leave this in normal mode until we jump on the highway, and then we'll put things into quiet. Throttle response is a little bit jumpy on this. All right, we get an open entrance ramp
Okay.
in the EcoBoost Mustang.
Jesus, everything's sliding.
Pretty good road holding. Tires are squealing. I mean, it's properly quick. Yeah, get you merged on nicely. Okay. Now that we are content here, settled into the highway, I'm going to stick this into my custom drive mode. Quiet down our exhaust a bit there. Trip computer reset. We've done 2.6 miles. Obviously, my exuberant entrance to the highway didn't help our fuel economy, but that will even out as we kind of continue on here. We can go ahead and set our cruise control. You can do that with one push of this cruise control button, and you can adjust your distance for your adaptive cruise here with this switch on the left side as well. I'm going to set this to the closest setting just to see how that behaves. At highway speeds, I mean, obviously the Mustang is pretty aerodynamic, so you don't really get much wind intrusion. Most of the noise we're getting here is definitely from these tires. Over some of these expansion joints, you can definitely hear some noise coming through. I'm curious to see how these seats end up doing, because these are like the comfort seats. The softest leather, they aren't the Recaros, so this is about as comfy as you can get for a Mustang. We have some lumbar adjustment with these, which I will definitely be taking advantage of. Power forward and back seats, but the backrest is manual.
I don't have lumbar.
Oh, well, I'll let you know how it is, I guess. Ford said the passengers don't deserve lumbar. only thing I'm concerned about for sitting in this car for a long time is how far back this console is, which is actually quite squishy. But if you wanted to kind of rest with two hands here, your elbow is going to be on this hard plastic surface. So we'll see how I'm able to kind of settle in and make myself comfortable in this Mustang. But I think we'll do just that. We'll kind of sit in here, we'll get some impressions for what this thing is like to sit in long term, and we will update you probably when we're getting lunch. Honestly, I'm already getting kind of hungry. So yeah, we will be back with you shortly. But in the meantime, enjoy this very kind time lapse. Just over 80 miles in and have a couple of things to report on. For one, we're stopping to get Culver's in 6 minutes, but most importantly, over the last 82 miles, this thing's been doing 35.5 mpg average, and you can see our average speed there being 70 miles an hour. So pretty good performance there, a couple mpg over EPA. We'll have to see how that evens out, if that continues to rise, which it is actually continuing to rise. It's 35.6 now. But otherwise, the ride is a bit weird. It's almost like floaty, but then like the rebound stiffness is off or something. Like it floats over small imperfections, but then when you get to a really big bump or really big expansion joint, it bounces up really harshly, which you felt a couple of times and you were unsettled by that. But yeah, so for the most part, the ride is good. Like just for floating down the highway like this, the ride is pretty forgiving. But when you get to some of the harsher stuff, it is less than ideal. Otherwise, this is, I think, the best ventilated seat that I've ever sat in. It absolutely rips. Like the fan on it is very high powered. It took the edge off the sweat that was on my back. We're gonna jump off here. I mean, overall so far, it's only been 80 miles. It's been about an hour, and I'm okay so far. I'm not huge on the placement of the right arm, but left arm matters more, I would say, just because that's the arm that the hand that you're holding the steering wheel with primarily.
Oh my god.
Trailblazer SS. I gotta say, even with the steering in eco mode, as they call it, or comfort, it's pretty dang heavy still. I remember when we had the Dark Horse last year, I was so tired of lugging that car around after 4 days of driving it, and while the steering isn't as heavy in this, it is still pretty dang heavy. Hefty, rather, I would say.
Thank you for choosing Culver's. What can make fresh for you today?
Hello, may I please do the 4-piece chicken tender value basket?
Any dipping sauce?
Yes, please. Can I do ranch? And then, can I do a sweet tea with that?
Fries, onion rings, or cheese curds as your side?
Fries, please.
Any salt, ketchup, or cheese sauce needed?
I'll do ketchup. Yeah, and then also the strawberry lemon ice cooler.
$16.09, please. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Did she say I love you?
No, she said you're welcome.
Oh. Maneuverability. Quite good. Is Culver's like a Midwest thing?
It is.
It's such a gem.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness, I love Culver's so much. There you go. Thank you so much. Sweet tea.
Yummy.
Thank you.
Hello. Do
Hello.
you have a 4-piece tender?
I do, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it, you too.
This looks excellent.
All right, let's maneuver this thing out of here. Oh, yeah. Holding that gear a bit. The 10-speed does shift decently quick. Go ahead, kind sir. Might as well degrade our fuel economy just that much more. We're down to 33.8. Still above the EPA estimate, though.
Would you like a fry?
Yes, I would love a fry. Good go. Before we let you go for the next leg of the trip, I just want to talk about places to put things in this interior. So, obviously, a couple of cup holders here for our drinks from Culver's, which I imagine would be very irritating if you had a stick shift. Obviously, we don't have to worry about that today, but if you had the manual transmission option in the GT or the Dark Horse, can't imagine you would like to actually use those cup holders. Wireless charger up here, and also another slot where I think you could lean another phone. We've got door pockets. Yeah, see, okay, so you could fit 2 phones right there, which I do appreciate. Otherwise, not a whole lot of storage solutions, but I think the overall kind of openness of this cabin helps. It helps you feel less cramped. We're gonna keep on going, and we will probably get back to you here once we have done quite a few more miles, and once we are entering the city. We'll give you some city driving impressions here on this EcoBoost Mustang.
Everybody's stopping. Look at this.
Are we getting into that?
Yes, everybody's stopping.
Well, I was just gonna say, after some nightmarish traffic, we are now finally entering the city into more traffic immediately.
On brand.
Yeah, as is the Chicago way. But MPG has been deteriorated all the way down to 34.4 because of said traffic. I think the highest I saw it go was 35.6.
Yes.
So average speed has gone down to 55. We've been stopped quite a bit. 243 miles down though, and in a strange turn of events, my butt is actually more sore than my back.
Oh, that's interesting.
I feel like the seat cushion could be more supportive, but the backrest actually does a pretty good job with the lumbar support.
Yeah.
How are you feeling over there? I haven't gotten an update from you.
Fine, but I've been like moving. Like I've
Yeah.
had to like shift my weight to the left, to the right.
Trying to get yourself comfortable.
In the nursing world, we call that Q2 turns.
Ooh, let's test out the track exhaust. Shall we see how that sounds?
Surely.
Oh, the Civic's gonna drown us out. Here we go. Ah, sounds like a 4-cylinder. It's so weird. This is the first car I've been in a long time that does not have any option whatsoever to change your own gears.
Yeah,
Manual, to
we were
have
just
a
talking
manual
about
mode. I would say like minus cars with CVTs, but like even the Subaru Outback that we're driving this week had a little manual mode.
Traffic.
Oh wow. Surprise, surprise. 32 minutes to go 5.9 miles.
Mm-hmm.
A good runner could get out and run it faster than that.
Yeah.
I no longer wish to have loud exhaust. Much better.
I no longer wish to be in the car.
This feature is not available. Oh no! Are we locked? Okay. Ah! Why are you forcing me to have track exhaust? Why are you doing this to me? Can we have normal exhaust?
It says, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay, we can have normal. I guess that's better than track. Thing's got a mind of its own at this point. Looks like as far as fuel range goes, we'll be able to make it back as well on 1 tank of fuel. Though that will make my passenger quite nervous, as our range is reading out 259 miles. We've got 5 miles to go, and the journey back is 250 miles. In theory, we could make it with the range on this.
Yeah,
34.1 mpg we're down to. Oh, here's our clock for the trip. 4.5 hours we've been driving.
Oh my word. When we left, it said it was going to be 3.5.
It was supposed to be 3 hours and 48, and it's going to end up being 5 hours.
Oh my word. That's
Yeah. Ooh, we can see our Fox body gauges lighting up green there. In proper form. I'm kind of learning the throttle tuning here in traffic. You have to just breathe on that throttle, or else it's a bit jumpier than I would like it to be. I will say, vent placement is quite nice.
Yeah,
Are you happy with your vents?
absolutely.
Though I do kind of have 3 vents aimed at me. Either you can
Oh,
aim this
that's-
one at you.
that
This one's
one's
angled
good.
towards me though.
Okay.
You've got that one over there.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
I
because
see what
this
you're
the
talking about,
whole
yeah.
cockpit and everything is slightly angled towards the driver, which is neat. I
driving
miss
car.
the S550 had toggle switches here for all of these buttons. They were physical toggles
Yeah.
that were really cool. I don't know why they ditched that for S650. It appears one of the driving instructors has escaped BMW's performance driving school in South Carolina. one of the cars is just in the middle of Chicago. Okay? Don't smash the front. Oh, look at that Great Dane.
Beautiful dog.
All right. Good news is if I crash into one of those, they're the same color as the car.
Right.
I hate this alley so much. The EcoBoost is so quiet that they don't hear me coming. Ooh, okay, we're gonna go slower.
You're good.
Good?
You're real close, but you're good.
I know, I'm just... Make sure I don't bump the front. Maximum concentration activating.
Yep, you're clear on this side.
I'm going to bump into one of these decorative chairs on the driver's side. Good. Oh my goodness.
You want me to stand back there?
Nope, I got the camera. Yeah. Oh, and we didn't scrape either. Right, the car is in. We're gonna have a weekend, and then we'll get back on the road, and we'll give you guys our final thoughts here on the Mustang EcoBoost, which definitely fits in a Chicago garage, just barely. One more Lollapalooza is in the books, and it's time to get the EcoBoost Mustang out of the alleyway garage and back onto the road to head on home to Michigan. So let's jump in this thing, we'll fire it up, we'll get a cold start, and then we will jump right back onto the city streets, onto the highway, and go back home. All right, this thing was locked and unlocked like a million times this week with me just like taking things in and out of the trunk, so good to see that the battery held a charge. Not that I was worried about it. There's Emily. Look how close I had to pull this thing into the garage. Active exhaust is singing the song of its people. All right, let's go ahead and pull this thing out. We'll get Emily loaded up into the car, and we'll be on our way home.
Chicago. See you later.
The sweet sounds of the city.
And smells.
That's right. I know. I'm excited for the day where we have smell-o-vision so all of the viewers can suffer with us.
Yeah.
I think we should engage track exhaust. I think my biggest takeaway so far with this Mustang is, unless you are purposely being obtuse in track exhaust mode with all of the settings toggled to the most hardcore thing, it really does just feel like a normal car. Like, it's just very civilian. It's very livable. It's comfortable to sit in. And in some ways that's good, because a lot of people just like to have the striking exterior of a Mustang, of the legend that it is, but then, you know, they don't want to be beat up. They want to just be able to live with this thing. And it got us here in comfort, 33 mpg. Well, actually it was like 35 until we hit traffic, so for some reasons I'm not mad at this car. Will you please attempt to place me back into quiet mode? This is droning so bad. It's the Mustang button. Then you click quiet. Ah, there we go. Okay. Well, we are going to finish out our remaining 250 miles here in the Mustang, and we will get back with you guys once we are a little...
Police reported ahead.
Thank you, Jeeves. And we will get back to you guys once we have spent our remaining miles in here, once we have our final thoughts on what it's been like to sit in this thing and live with it and road trip it for 500 miles.
Wait for me to go.
got one last thing to do before we wrap up today, and that is to give you guys all a little demo here of this B&O sound system. Overall, I think Ford has really stepped it up with these B&O systems. I think they could work on their volume tuning just a bit, because I can really only put this up to like volume level 12 before it starts to get really screechy and harsh on the ears. But they've got a good amount of power, a pretty decent amount of detail. There's 12 speakers total in here, so I mean, they worked with the real estate that they had, and I think for a $45,000 coupe, it's a pretty decent sound system. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as what it's been like to sit in this car and live with it for the past couple of days, road trip the Mustang EcoBoost, I'm kind of torn on my overall opinion on this car, because on one hand, I really like the livability of it and the way that it's really just able to settle down and be normal and do the whole grand touring thing pretty well. But on the other hand, I kind of wish that it was able to have a little bit more of a split personality and be fun to drive when you want to actually do some spirited driving. Because to me, this is kind of all of the sacrifices that you have to make to have a Mustang. Limited room, heavy steering, just overall kind of practicality, but then you aren't really rewarded with anything. Like, I don't really desire to go out and go for a spirited drive in this new S650 EcoBoost. I think maybe if I drove one that had the performance pack with the Recaros, the paddle shifters, and everything like that, maybe my opinion would change a bit, but I don't get like a ton of personality from this 2.3 liter. The 10-speed is just the 10-speed. You guys know how I feel about that. So, I don't know. I think overall, it's a really good car if you're willing to, make those couple of sacrifices to have this as your daily driver. If you're a bit old, if you're Meemaw and Peepaw and you just like want a cruiser, then this will do that really well. It's done 35 mpg on this trip, but I'm so torn because I don't know that I necessarily want any Mustang to just kind of feel like a normal car. The livability part of the grand touring, it does well, but once you finish your grand tour and you want to go out on a back road and have some fun and row some gears, the Mustang EcoBoost definitely not the car for that. Nappability rating, like a 6 out of 10.
I would say like a 6.5.
Okay. You did knock out for like an hour, so
I did knock out for
can't
an
say
hour.
that you can't sleep in
Yeah, it was nappable.
I just think like out of all the Mustangs I've ever driven, this feels the most normal out of all of them.
It feels quite normal.
So,
yeah, just a car.
which just kind of is what it is. I mean, you can decide on if that works for you. Obviously, you can step up to a GT or a Dark Horse if you want more of that authentic Mustang experience. I just always hoped, like back when the S550 Mustang came out and they launched the whole 4-cylinder turbo thing again, I always thought it would be cool if they kind of brought back the SVO name, kind of that high-performance 2.3 turbo car from the mid-'80s. Even if they did like a special edition of the EcoBoost and they called it the SVO and they just made a limited amount of them, they were all 6-speed manuals, I think that would kind of liven up the EcoBoost line and would make this kind of boring boomer spec one a little bit more excusable. Hopefully this road trip video has given you all a good idea of what it's like to live with an S650 EcoBoost. 35 mpg average over the last 478 miles. We've done 8.5 hours on the road in this car. 55 mile an hour average speed because there was some traffic thrown in. Oh, actually, there's one more thing I want to touch on. The lane keep assist system is very irritating for a couple of reasons. For one, it doesn't do a very good job at keeping its lane, and then it also does a bad job of recognizing that your hand is touching the steering wheel. So you can be driving down a very arrow straight section of road where you don't need to give the car any sort of input, and it just doesn't see that my hand is on the wheel, but it doesn't sense that my hand's on the wheel. Still doesn't. Both hands are on the wheel now and it has no idea. I'm just like, they need to add some sort of different sensor in here or recalibrate this, because it makes it so you realistically can't even use it, because every 10 seconds you have to jiggle the wheel about, and then it just makes everything more uncomfortable. And then I guess the only other thing to add is that your highway cruising range in this car, if you're going about 70 miles an hour on the highway with a couple of stops here and there like we have, is going to be about 500 miles. I've done 480 miles. The car is reading that we have 34 miles remaining to E, and usually Fords go a couple of gallons past that, which means the car realistically probably has another like 80 or 90 miles in the tank. So you could probably push that beyond the 500 mile mark. Overall, a nice package for cruising, but I do wish that there was just a little bit more soul in this thing. So maybe someday they'll make some kind of special edition EcoBoost for the S650 generation. That'll wrap it up. Any questions you guys have about the S650 EcoBoost, leave them in the comments, because we have spent quite a bit of time in this thing. We'll be able to answer those for you. But that'll wrap it up for us today. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video, in the next road trip.
Yep.
So that'll be it. Go ahead.
Take care.
Take care.